And I know you've probably hear this all the time, that you have to take this course, but truly, from my perspective of someone that's been in the business 18 years, actively selling real estate and building a team and all of that, it's called Expansion Systems. And I think I paid maybe $100 for it. And the world of Zoom has, really helped our businesses and education. So I would take advantage of that. So I want you all writing down on your notebook, Expansion Systems. It's called ESO. What's the O stand for, Holland?
I'm sorry, I'm so plugged into what I'm doing, I have no idea.
Anyway, I think it's Expansion Systems Organization or something like that. And it is an amazing course, and I would recommend you guys taking that. So I know I'm here to teach buyer consultation, and the reason I get asked to teach this course is because I started with Keller Williams 18 years ago, and I've been a top buyer's agent probably 17 out of the 18 years. And I love buyers most of the time. And it's a really, buyers, I started with buyers, and I really want to help you guys save some of your life and save a lot of your time. So have any of you taught a Zoom class before? No? Okay, someday you will, but one thing that is the hardest part about teaching on Zoom is we don't have that interaction in a room, we don't have that energy. And so promise me today that you will help me with energy, because it's really hard to be an instructor when I get nothing back from you guys. And I have a lot to share, and I want to share, and it really helps if there's some interaction between us. Okay, so raise your right hand and promise me that you'll interact today. Thank you. And please, Jessica, if you can, I would love to see your face, and maybe you didn't do your hair or makeup this morning. I don't like this. There we go. But it really helps me to get more engaged with you guys when I can see your faces. So Jessica, we don't care what your makeup or whatever looks like. Come on, give me your face. Everybody. Ah, there she is. Yay. Okay, so thank you, because I need that energy. I need you guys present. I need feedback. And I know I hate sitting here and just talking to you for an hour and a half. It really, really helps me to see you and see your interaction. And so just thank you for that. So, well, good morning, everybody. My name is Maureen Lee. I have been with Keller Williams probably, I think I've been doing this about 18 years, 17 out of the 18 years. I first started with RE/MAX with a top producer. And my little bio is, if you don't know me from Adam, anybody ever heard my name before in the office, seen me before? No, we're all been in our own little cages for a year. I last year I didn't sell as much real estate as I would liked, but I've been pretty much doing this for 18 years, and I'm to a point where I've pretty much mastered the buyer consultation. And I'm always perfecting, right? You're always trying to create this, perfect world. And you guys have it so good because you guys have all these systems that I never started with, right? I started with, the basic Keller Williams, stuff. And you guys have such cool stuff to hit on command. How many of you have taken advantage of command? Just raise your hand. Because I have just such a small group and I don't have 40 people. Raise your hand if you've taken advantage of command.
I've just recently started playing around in it personally.
Okay. And you guys have such an advantage. And I would definitely sign on to Sonia's classes. She is an amazing coach. She's coaching me. She's coaching all of you, I know. But she really wants to connect her new agents and people in her coaching program with the tools of command. And she's coaching me. I'm an old dog. Okay. You know, I've been doing this a long time. I've been on different platforms, different CRMs, different Keller Williams products. I've paid a ton of money for like different CRMs like Brivity, you know, all those different things that, you know, all these people that call you. When you're a realtor, everybody starts calling you, right? And they're like, this is going to save your life. This is going to make you a millionaire, right? Has anybody gotten those calls yet as a realtor? Like, you need to do this, you need to buy this, all of that, right? You guys are so lucky because you have one of the best technology firms here supporting you. And I think we pay, I don't know what it is, 25 bucks a month for technology. I've paid up to $1,000 a month for a CRM for my team in the past. And trust me, they all had holes, they all had issues. And Command is like your gift to you from Keller Williams. So you really got to take advantage of that. So, you know, I've been doing this about 18 years and time flies, but I'll give you a little brief, you know, introduction of how I started, because I was you and I'm you again. And what I mean by that is with COVID, my husband completely shut down his business. And I've been a realtor. He ran his own businesses, and COVID completely took him down. And I'm here to tell you that I'm you again in a different market. So my husband got a job, or not even a job, he got an amazing offer he couldn't turn down in Colorado. So I'm coming to you from Colorado. You want to see my view from my office? Okay.
Yes.
You guys see my view?
Whoa.
You guys see my view?
That's awesome.
I'm going to walk you. So literally 3 months ago, my husband relocated to Colorado. Okay. So here you go. This is where I live now. See all the snow on the ground? See that? That is the city of Eagle, Colorado. And over there in those mountains beyond there, that's Vail, Colorado. I live now in the Vail Valley of Colorado. And when I say that I am now you, I've started completely over. I still run my team in California. I'm working on, you know, partnering, you know, giving one of my top buyers agents the opportunity to partner up with me. And she is now running the team in California, and I am starting over in Colorado. So when I say I am now you, I mean that sincerely. But I know 18 years ago, when I started in California, I did a lot of things wrong. Okay. And I'm here to teach you how to do it right. Okay. So number one would be like, get on Command, start using Command, add all your contacts and all of that on Command. You have an amazing tool that is to your benefit. And there are certain things on there that are so easy that I'm like, I can't believe I've been spending all this money on Brivity and advertising and different things where I have this amazing tool. So trust me, this is not something I take lightly, because, you know, my word is to me everything I have, right? I can make promises, I can do things, I can spend money, but my word is the thing that is most valuable. I am never going to say anything in a class that I don't mean wholeheartedly. So when you guys get off this call, your next email is to get on with Sonia and say, Maureen says I need to learn Command to launch my business. Okay. So for example, you know, when you advertise on Zillow and all of these different places, you pay a ton of money. And when I got in the business, I pretty much sold people homes that I knew, people I went to church with, people like on my kids' soccer teams, everybody that I knew physically, I tried to connect and say, hey, you know, make sure they knew I was a realtor. Okay. And I start every class like this because I want you guys to know what I did right. I'm going to tell you what I did right and what I did wrong. Is that fair today? Because, you know, I started just, you know, one thing that Gary Keller taught me up front, and I don't know him personally, it was just all through his trainings, is that make sure everybody I know knows I sell real estate. Okay. And you're like, oh gosh, Maureen, I don't have kids. I don't, belong to a church. And right now I can't even do open houses and all these things with COVID. You can do a lot more than you think. So when I first started in real estate, I was a soccer coach because I, played soccer most of my life. I belonged to a church that I was a music director or music facilitator. I had 2 kids. They were in 1st and 2nd grade. I was the room mom. I was the art docent. I was all these things that, I didn't really put the 2 together. But when Gary said to me, make sure everybody knows what you do. And I didn't tell them, hey, I'm brand new on real estate. I know nothing. I know how to show houses, but I'm learning. You don't say that. Okay. Oh yeah. Raise your right hand. And if you've been in a class of mine before, you'll know I do this a lot during class. Raise your right hand, everybody. Okay. I will not tell everybody that I'm working with that I'm brand new in real estate. Okay. They don't know. They don't care. They don't care half the time. And they just think you sell real estate. You don't have to say, I've been in the business 6 months. Do you think in the Vail Valley, I'm going to say, I just moved here. I know nothing. I'm trying to figure it out. That's the last thing I'm going to say, right? I'm going to say, you know what? I've been coming here for 12 years of my life. Loved it. My husband relocated here. I've been studying Vail real estate for 12 years, which I have. Does anybody go on vacation and then they're like in a new market and they're like, what does a house cost in this place? I do that. I've been doing that since I've been in real estate. So I'm not lying. I'm not stretching the truth, but I've been coming to Vail Valley for 12 years of my life, ever since I met my husband. And was just infatuated with like, oh my gosh, ranches around here cost $80 million. And I'm like, that's a really cool commission. I could totally, handle selling a handful of ranches a year and doing what I do. And hold on, tremendous glare going on here and it's hard to see you guys well. So I'm just going to say that, when you're in a new market, when you're brand new, most people don't even know or care. It's tougher in a listing environment, right? Because they're saying, okay, who are you? I've never heard of you before, blah, blah, blah. But you get that presentation set and and the buy side, most people, when you connect with them, they just want to go out and look at property. Okay. That's the first thing they want to do. And you have to be the professional, reel that in and build the relationship and build the trust that, you know your job well. Okay. So right now I'm going to share the screen. You guys have hold on one second. You have your little outlines, right? I'm going to share screen. Hopefully I can do this. And there we go. So everybody on the same page, everybody have their Ignite. Can everybody see my Ignite PowerPoint here?
Yes.
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 You guys, I don't care if dogs bark in the background or the doorbell rings or whatever. My husband's going to like barge into the house relatively soon. So it's okay. I would love just to hear the yeses, the nos. I agree. I have a comment. Because it's really hard to teach a class when I don't get much from you. So I just want to make sure anytime you guys have a question, just raise your hand, virtually or just physically, and we'll talk about that. So just again, a little background on me. I've been doing this 18 years, probably the first 6-7 years of my life. I was a top buyer's agent, loved buyers. Again, I went out and, basically sold a house to everybody that I knew. And, but if I were to start over, I would probably work with buyers, but also continue to always lead gen on the listing side of things. That is definitely one of my big mistakes I made when I first got into the business. And when I started, I was starting a lot of things over. I rolled over one day and decided that I wanted to get out of my abusive marriage. I was going through a divorce. I moved out of my house. I started working for Sue Murphy. Anybody heard of Sue Murphy before? Hoffman Murphy, does that ring a bell?
No, was he with Shorewood?
No, Susan Murphy is a woman, and she is the partner with Maureen Hoffman, and they have a Hoffman Murphy team that's a pretty, they're our biggest Keller Williams team in the South Bay. So I started with Sue Murphy before she was Hoffman Murphy. She had just been in the business 20, 30 years. And I started working for her. I was going through a divorce. All I did was put, labels on her envelopes and, go set up her open houses. I just was getting through my divorce, but my background, my business background was, operations and systems. And so I realized that she kind of ran her business kind of haphazardly. And I was like a checklist girl. I'm like, I can't do something different every single day. So when I started working for Sue, I just started to like create checklists for everything she gave me to do. And believe it or not, that was probably a really great background for me, because I figured that I used to run restaurant chains, and I used to have to run, 16 restaurants, and I had to run them the same way. And so the only way to do that and communicate, this is what a server should do, a bartender should do every day, was to create systems. And so, when I had my 2 kids and I left that position, and I just was a stay-at-home mom, and then all of a sudden I'm going through, a divorce, I was like, and working for somebody, I was just like, what do you do first? You go back to what's your comfort zone. So when I started working with buyers and working with all this, I just created checklists. Well, the beautiful thing for you guys, again, that gift that Keller Williams has given you is that wonderful gift of command. You already have all your checklists now, and you have that red book. All you have to do is roll it out, okay? And you don't have to reinvent any wheel. Keller Williams is huge on taking people's experiences, what they're doing best, and putting it and organizing it for you. So that is a gift, and you may or may not recognize it right now, but someone like myself who kind of had to start from the beginning and create everything from scratch, you guys have a beautiful gift from KW. So use it, recognizing it, you're paying for it anyway, and utilize this command. So let's get into the buyer consultation. So you guys have gone through you're probably halfway through Ignite right now. And so does everybody have a buyer's consultation? Yes? No?
Yeah.
So you have a buyer's consultation. Where did you get that, Max?
Command.
Perfect.
Under designs.
Pardon me?
Under designs.
In designs? Okay, great.
Okay, so that is awesome. So Max, I'm very proud of you. You get accolades. If you were in my personal class in KW, I would be throwing you candy right now. I was big on throwing you a piece of candy. So I'm going to give you an accolade. So I'm throwing you a piece of candy. So again, you guys have this stuff already ready for you. You don't have to reinvent anything. So anyway, when you're, we talked about some of these things, but when you're building your business, you have to have certain tools, right? You need to have, you don't have to go pay for a logo and all the things that I've actually invested in over like the years. But in the beginning, I just slapped KW on it. I put it in a folder, and now you guys can do everything digitally, right? I'm working from Colorado. I have my listing and my buyer's consultation done digitally. So Max, do you have that presentation digitally?
Yeah.
Okay, so you should have it digitally and something you can print out. And did you customize it, or did you basically take what KW had and throw your name on it?
I'm customizing it a little bit. I'm still in the process of doing that.
Yeah.
It is really annoying to work with that the program that they have.
I agree wholeheartedly, but what I did in the beginning, and I'll share this with you. I took what I loved from the presentation that they had for me, and I basically created my own and then threw my brand on it. And I've done that through the years, like different things, like, we have all these lenders and title reps, and right. If you guys are participating in the Keller Williams meetings, there's all these great tools that our reps have for us. And over the years, I have collected and I'll share at the end of class, I'll share with you what, I use digitally and what I use for my buyer's agents. But over the years, I just collect what I really love using and what has been very helpful for my clients that I'm working with. So, you need to have these presentations. It's almost like a website, right? It's really funny because I bought, properties in Colorado, and I actually had to work with an agent to buy my house that I live in Colorado. And she's a top producer in this valley, and she's one of the worst agents I've ever come across. Let's just say that. She's not listening, and nor will she. I was dumbfounded. This woman does $70 million in sales a year. And when I met with her, I got nothing. I got zero. I got nothing digitally. I got nothing in person. I gave her the 12 houses I wanted to see, or my husband to go see. And he got nothing. It's like, I did all the work, because I'm a realtor. And I was like dumbfounded that this person that does this volume in this valley has nothing to give me or anything to present to me. So you guys are already ahead of that agent, okay? Because we have these tools, right? And it made me
Maureen?
realize. Yeah. Hi, Cecilia.
I'm sorry. Hi, how are you? So I've been playing around in Command, and you said that the buyer's presentation was in Designs in Command. I could not find it.
Okay, well, write that down. Put a list under Sonia.
Okay.
Right, and just say, Sonia, I want to go to your class that helps me find and design my buyer's presentation.
Okay, perfect.
I was trying to pull it up this morning for the class, just to kind of, get you guys in
Yeah,
there.
because I couldn't get any of the information.
And I had
today,
error
but-
messages on mine too this morning.
Okay.
So,
All
right.
so that's really in the class, but Max, maybe you can jump in.
Yeah, I'll put something in the chat there, just telling you the steps to go through.
Oh, thank you, Max. I appreciate that. Greatly.
Thank you. And
Right.
there's one thing about this business and this company. You have people like Max that are going to help you. You have people like myself that are going to give you all my advice and my help that I can give you. You are in a company that shares, and we want you all to be successful. And trust me, there's plenty of business for everybody, and we all are going to pick our certain things. And so thank you, Cecilia, for bringing that up, and Max for offering to help. That's really awesome. So just moving on. So we right now in our real estate world, we need everything digitally. We need everything in print too, because you never know when you're going to meet a client, and you're going to have to do a consultation, and they may want to be in person. And right now we're not supposed to do that, but you want to have both, right? So again, what should we be doing every day? Okay, like I said, I want to make sure I'm the queen of like skipping over the KW presentation and I just go straight to what I do. But I want you guys to like make sure, and then, so forgive me, I'm just jumping around here. But when we are getting ready to do our lead generation, and you feel a lot better when you have all your tools and your presentations and everything ready to go. So when you start doing your lead gen, you have something, because you never know in this business. I can't tell you how many times I get a random call. Boom. Hey, hi, Maureen. I got your information from XYZ or, whatever lead source. And I'm going to sell my house. Can you meet with me tonight? And it's like, oh no. Yeah. So you never know when someone's going to just say, hey, you know what? I found this house online. I'd really like you to see it. I'd really like to see it tonight or whatever. And so you need to be prepared, because we never know what's going to happen, especially right now, right? So if someone's like, hey, I'd like to start working with you, and you're like, the first thing you're going to do is like, hey, let's make an appointment. Let's get you on the calendar. Do you want to do something in person, or do you feel more comfortable with the Zoom? And then a lot of people are going to say, oh, I just want to go see that property. Has anybody had that experience yet? Raise your hand. Like, oh, I just want to go see that house, right? And you're going to, if you don't have a relationship with them and you don't know what is, their motivation, you say, okay, great, no problem. I definitely want to show you that property. However, I want to meet with you for a couple, just want to make sure you understand the process and meet with you really quick so we can I want to make sure I have an understanding of what you're looking for. So getting that appointment is really crucial. And I'm sure that was the previous class, right? Getting the appointment. What was your previous class before this one? Anybody?
open houses was our previous one.
Okay, yeah, so open houses, you're gonna meet buyers. We don't do open houses anymore.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're getting ready to meet somebody, you just want to make sure that you don't just run out and show the house. Or if you're gonna go run out and show that house, I'll let my buyer's agents do that one time with a lead. Other than that, then they
I couldn't hear what you said.
sorry. I got phones, I got watches talking to me. So they're gonna want to run out and show property, but you're gonna want to slow that down and say, you know, start that script like, okay, so where are you in the process? Oh, I've just been looking online. Okay, great. Has anyone gone through with you? You know, have you written offers with anyone? You're gonna know right then and there if they're, you know, already working with an agent. The last thing you want to do is we get paid by commission only. We do not get paid until the deal closes in our current environment. So you want to save yourself time. You don't want to run around and show people property without securing that relationship and securing that, you know, make sure they're going to be loyal and dedicated to you and not running around with like 5, you know, other agents. I often compare real estate and working with buyers and love relationships. Okay. Anybody in a relationship right now? No. Okay. Right. So Max, I'm going to use you because you've been very interactive. So thank you. Let me pick on you. So if your girlfriend or significant other or whoever, if they were like dating 5 other people, would you invest in the relationship like you are right now?
Heck no.
Exactly. So when I ask that question, I do that because why would you go show property to someone who's working with 4 other agents? Why would you go out and invest in a relationship if they're dating 4 other people? So if you kind of compare that and trust me, when I was going through my divorce, when I first started this business, Match.com was a very common place where I met guys, right? You know, I was dating and I'm like, a lead generator, but I would, you know, if I was going to start investing in that relationship, I wanted to make sure they were investing and or making sure that they knew that I was different and special and that, you know, if we were going to move forward, they had to stop dating the other 2 or 3 women, right? Same thing in real estate or, you know, or a guy or whatever. And the point being is people don't look at that. A lot of times they'll just drop everything and run out and show a property. It's like, why would you do that without some kind of commitment? I look at my time now worth $500 an hour. Okay. So if in the beginning of my business, if I wasn't in a classroom, if I wasn't with my kids, you know, I was with clients, right? So if I'm not with a client, I'm investing in myself, especially in the beginning of my career, I was investing in myself or my children, in my relationships with my children. Why would I just run out and show property to someone who wasn't going to be loyal to me or didn't know me? So this is why the consultation aspect is so important because you are developing a relationship with them. Okay, regardless of the material you are sharing with them and your expertise and your consultation and all this kind of stuff, the number one reason you have a consultation is to build rapport and build the relationship. My business has been strictly built on relationships. And the way today that I continue to do the volume, I don't know what I did for the whole year because my numbers, I haven't been back to look at the board. But, you know, back in 2019, I sold $32 million worth of real estate. And with COVID, I sold $21 million worth of real estate. We were completely shut down last year. So I can tell you that probably 15 million of what I sold last year was based on relationships I have built over the course of my life and career. That people make sure they call me when they have a real estate need because of those relationships. And those relationships started in a consultation environment that people I weren't related to or knew me personally. And the reason being is this consultation aspect is so crucial to your career in building a lifelong business. I can't overemphasize that. And this is why I wanted to teach this class is we don't, when you run out and show property, you're like being Vanna White. Everybody know who Vanna White is?
Uh-uh.
gorgeous woman, career of what does she do? She's like, here's the letter, touching it with, right? Even digitally now with this world, Vanna White still has a career because she just shows the letters, right? That's not our job. We need to be the relationship builders and say, okay, I'm more than just Vanna White. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to make sure that the elements of this business is very difficult. I'm helping you buy the most important asset and most expensive asset in most cases of their lifetime. So I don't take that lightly, and I want to make sure everybody understands that aspect of it. So I'm going to skip down to the next slide. So we're setting the appointment, and trust me, okay, anybody heard of a company named Redfin? Okay, they're classic at running out and showing property, right? Like I have a client that I finally talked her into stop doing this. She would actually go see the property with a Redfin agent and then call me and say, okay, I think I want to write an offer on this property. Can you come see it with me tomorrow? Right? So what was this Redfin? I'm like, why did you go see it with a Redfin agent? And I have a buyer broker with this person, so I'm not afraid that she's going to, run off and buy a house. She's just using that Redfin agent in every market that we're looking. And she's a $2.5 million buyer. And I'm like, right? It's ridiculous. So don't be that Redfin agent that's just going to be Vanna White. You want to dig deeper and just make sure you have that relationship with this person where they're not going to leave you. And the biggest thing is you have to give them a reason to stick with you, right? The next realtor is another click away, right? Can we all agree on that? The next realtor, I always say this in California, when I'm talking to Colorado agents, I'm like, you can throw a rock and hit another realtor in California. Now, the quality is all over the board, but there's so many realtors in California that you have to set yourself apart to develop that relationship. So am I getting through to you guys on this? Trust me, learn from my mistakes, okay? And don't run out and show property without some kind of commitment from them. So we're setting the appointment, and the reason why we were really big on building your database and people you meet is because we have these amazing systems. Throwing people in your prospecting, whatever. I know we meet less people on a daily basis these days, but it doesn't mean that, I have a database of 19,000 people. Okay, so I've added almost 1,000 people a year. That's kind of how you can do the average, right? So we're all touching on different people, and sometimes we're touching on the same people. So they are judging us from our emails, from what we put out there on the internet and social media. So make sure that when you're ready to talk to somebody, you know that you're ready to go, because we're always throwing leads in there. So do you think my phone rings now? Do you think my phone rings every day now because I've built this database of 19,000 over the course of 18 years? Yes, it has. I built that database over time, and if I don't add to it every week, then my business is going to probably slowly disappear. So this is all really, really, pertinent to what we're talking about today. So after we set the appointment, right, we're going to prepare our buyer's consultation, and Max, let's just role play since you are my most interactive guy right now. So when somebody calls you and says, hey, I want to go look at a property, what was your first response?
I guess something like, have you talked to a lender? Are you working with an agent, or have you met with an agent yet?
And that is a beautiful way to start the conversation. I always start with something personal and say, hey, Max, thanks for calling today. I really appreciate it. I know there's a lot of choice of realtors out there, and I'm grateful that you decided to call me. Can you help me where you are in the process? And, I start with that as well, but I will always try to hit on something personal and say, hey, how are you doing? Is your family staying safe in this COVID environment? And then they'll share with you. It's just like, yeah, it's crazy. My aunt had it, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, good. Well, I'm glad, everybody's staying safe. I mean, we have something to talk about with everybody up front, right? We have this world pandemic, right? And, that's the first thing I talk to anybody I'm talking to. It's like, hey, how are you? Is everybody safe in your environment? Because number one, I do honestly care about how people are living their lives right now. And just the other day, I was scolding someone I met on the phone, and I said, so I hope you're taking advantage of all of these different services that we now have that'll never go away. And I share with them, hey, I don't go to a grocery store anymore. I drive to one, but somebody puts the stuff in my back. And I'm like, I'll never go back because I save $100 every time I go to the grocery store because I don't have to, So you know what I'm saying? I don't make it all about real estate all the time. I make it very personal because I'm trying to connect with them and build a relationship. And it's much harder now because we aren't doing these consultations in person, but we have something, we all have a common thing that we can talk about with someone right away, right? For instance, when I call, I have a report that goes out to a lot of people because I have a listing farm that I have digitally. And if I'm calling one of those leads, I'll say, hi, this is Maureen Lee. You've been receiving my report and I see that you're opening it. I hope you like it. And they'll, if they're opening my report, they tend to like it. And I know how often they're opening it. And we have that ability on command too, just FYI. And just say, hey, just wanted to check in with you and see how you like the report. Do you want me to have it come, more frequent or less frequent? Because I know people are really busy and overwhelmed with email right now because that's the only way this world is communicating. Just kind of get off like, I'm going to sell you a house or can I list your house? You guys get my drift on this? So, when you hit on things that are personal, you're not all about real estate, you're just building a relationship, right? So, again, we have a common thing. It's just like, the first thing people ask me now is, where are you? Are you in California or Colorado? Because I've been going back and forth for 3 months. And, so just to talk a little bit about personal stuff before you get straight into the real estate. So Max, I hope your family's doing well. Has anybody have COVID?
No, everyone's been pretty healthy, thankfully.
Well, that's good. You're doing the right things, and you're probably paying attention to all these mandates that we're under. But I'm grateful your family's doing really well. So where are you in this process in regards to your real estate search?
Just spoke to a lender. I got pre-approved for 900,000, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, excellent. In our world right now, we're experiencing in the Torrance market. Let's say you're going to Torrance. The demand is so high for real estate right now because interest rates are so incredibly low. And there's a lot of people that are not ready to move in this, world environment. So that has had an impact on inventory. Inventory is very low right now. And so it's awesome that you've gone and talked to a lender because we really need to be ready. Whether we find that perfect house for you this week or next month, the prepared buyer is going to be the one that gets the property. So I love the fact that you are all ready to go. And so has your lender given you any kind of paperwork in regards to the pre-approval, or have you've just had a conversation with them?
I've received paperwork.
Okay, awesome. Because that's, there's 3 things that I need when we're getting ready to buy a house. There's 3 things I need from you. It is, proof of funds, your pre-approval, right? Proof of funds. And a lot of people are uncomfortable giving, their bank statements. But the problem is listing agents, we need to make sure we're ready and give them what they need. So I'm really going to need copies of recent bank statements or wherever you're getting your down payment. And then I need an executed contract. Okay. So those are the 3 things I need for us to buy a house. And the 4th thing would be, the other things are, pluck, maybe a picture, something, about your family and things like that. But we'll get into that in more detail when I get through the consultation. But that is awesome that you have gone through the process of getting a lender. Because right now in our current market environment, the prepared buyer, the ready to go buyer, the determined buyer is getting the property. Anybody written offers in this market recently? Anybody? No? It's super competitive out there. So, and I'm sure you've heard this from Simon and from the other classes you've taken. My team and I writing offers, we have not been in a singular offer situation in probably 2 years. So the main goal of your consultation is setting an expectation for your buyer. I always tell my buyers when they first start working for them, I ask them to stop watching HDTV. And they usually laugh. I'm like, reality TV is not our daily reality. And I have to fill them in on my market and in what's going on with that market. When you're not writing offers and we're not showing property and we're just starting with new agents, get that information from me, from everybody who's presenting on these talks and talking about the market, because you guys can use my words and use my scripts and my experience to be your own experience. So Max, when we're talking about Torrance, I've now given you a script, right? To say, okay, great, the prepared buyer is getting the offers. So that means we need to make sure we have the pre-approval, your proof of funds, and we're going to go over the contract so you understand that. Because there's nothing worse than a buyer like finding the home, want to write an offer, and they are freaked out by our very litigious contract. So my consultations bring in the contract as well. As much as this Keller Williams presentation is beautiful, they don't hit on the contract one time. And that's really where I seal the deal in my consultations, because I'm coming across as the expert. So, okay, on your notes, I know you guys are all taking great notes, but under the classes that you need to take, the first one I suggested was ESO, right? Expansion systems, and I don't know what the O means. And the next class that I really want you guys to focus on is taking contract classes. Simon and I started a contracts class, scenario class years ago. When he first came to this office, he had 4 stacks of paper on his desk. He was here one day. And I walked in and I'm like, Simon, what are all these stacks? He says, these are all my mediation and arbitration lawsuits that I'm dealing with right now as the broker of this office. And I'm talking the Keller Williams office here 5 years ago, okay? And I said, I'm a big trainer. I love to educate new agents. I love to help you guys with your learning curve. And one of the biggest things that creates those stacks on brokers' offices is that agents don't understand the contract and they get themselves in trouble. So Simon and I started this contract scenario class once, I think it was every other week when we first started, or then it got to be once a month. But we literally had agents come in bringing an empty contract and we create scenarios for you guys. So the first contract you wrote was not like your first, what do I do, right? Most of you are in a coaching program and you have a great team leader and broker, but until you're like in the scenario, you really don't know what you don't know, right? Because you guys are learning. So that is a big thing. So if you go to contract classes and you really understand that contract, you're going to be an expert and your clients are going to feel more comfortable working with you because they know you know your job, okay? And it's tougher in the beginning. So I went to my first year in real estate, I probably went to 5 contract classes outside my office, right? I went to the different boards were having different contract classes. And now it's even easier. You don't even have to leave your home, right? You guys can do the contract classes on Zoom, which is awesome. But the bottom line is that is a really, really important mastery that you have to get down to win your clients' trust and that they know what you're doing, right? So let's just move on. Creating the presentation. I'm not going to do this with you because mine is not working this morning, but there's plenty of classes as far as going into design, or if you just go to the KW help and because it's going to take us all day long to create, because my command's giving me error messages this morning. But the bottom line is you can design a very simple, if you've set up your command profile, which that's the first thing you got to do when you're in command, because you have to fill everything out, put in your logos, put in all your information, and then everything on your profile. Anytime you create something and design it in design on command, it just populates, right, Max? Yeah, it just populates. So you have to set up your profile first and then go in and start creating some designs. But just know that all you have to do is go to command, go into design, and then pick your template and start filling things in. And people ask us like, but everybody's got the same one if everybody's using Command. Well, just remember your clients shouldn't be meeting with more than one agent. Hopefully your presentation is the only one that they're seeing, okay? So we're gonna just walk through it really quick. The buyer presentation, okay, it's, it talks, it gives you kind of an outline to go through with your clients. And I would add in there the contract, right? And you can pull from the car forms a copy of our California contract. And trust me, our contract is far more detailed than any state on the planet. Maybe, maybe New York, but I've been dealing with the Colorado contract. It's like so thin. See how thin this contract is? California, there's a lot to know. And as you know, we have more disclosure than anybody on the planet. So you want to kind of add that contractual stuff in there, even if you just touch on it, okay? I'm a big advocate of like really going through or part of the contract, okay? But in your buyer's presentation, you talk about your dream home, your preferences, your neighborhood, just the steps of buying, your services, what makes you different, your promise, so we're just gonna go through this really quickly. It looks very professional, right? You can cut and paste your own pictures in here, and you can go in here and change all of this, and add and subtract if you'd like. And trust me, you guys, these presentations look so much prettier than they used to. So you have a lot to work from. So again, preferences, we used to call that the needs analysis, right? When I'm talking to a client, going through their outline, really talking about their needs analysis. And the needs analysis is one of the greatest places to really get to know the client, okay? So Max, you're looking for this beautiful home, and I want to set the expectation, but can you give me your top 3 things that you need from this home that are important to you and your wife or your significant other?
Yes, we need at least 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. I'd like it to be at least 2,000 square feet, and we want a yard.
Okay. So can you expand a little bit on why 3 bedrooms is important to you? Is 2 bedrooms and a den okay? Or, do you need another space?
We need 2 bedrooms for our 2 children.
Okay, so you have children. Oh, what are their names and how old are they?
Jill
Create those
and
children. It's okay.
Sam. They're 7 and 9.
Oh, I love those ages. Boys or girls?
1 boy and 1 girl.
Oh, you hit the jackpot. 1, 2, you're done, right? Well, good for you. So is your daughter the second mom in the house?
No, she's a little brat. um,
You know what?
Yeah.
Strong, willful little girls turn into very strong women, and that's going to be a huge trait later on, or whatever. Again, you guys see what I'm doing. I'm just trying to go in a little bit deeper. So, okay, so it's really important to have 3 bedrooms because I now know he has a family. I now know he has 2 kids, right? So why is a yard important to you? Is it for the kids, or do you have pets?
We have 10 dogs.
10 dogs. Well, we know realistically probably 2 dogs, but my concern, I have literally sold homes to buyers of mine that bought a home for their dog. I am serious. People that needed a yard, people that wanted, a ADU, all these different, things they throw in there. But you see what I'm doing? I'm digging a little bit deep. It's like, okay, I know you have 2 kids now. I know you have 10 dogs now. It's like, okay, so, when I get into his career or whatever, there's always going to be something that I can tap into, whether it's the kids or the dogs or whatever it is. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper just to get, Max to tell me more about himself. Okay. I'm throwing out to all of you a question. Max can't answer because, you're participating and I appreciate that. But can you tell me who is more likely to engage into a relationship? The person that talks the most or talks the least?
Talks the least.
So if I'm trying to get into a relationship with Esther, for example, and all I do is talk, am I engaging with Esther?
No.
So sometimes when we're asking questions, we have to do our best to resist talking back. Okay. Just like ask the question and right. So that, I mean, I'm talking a lot because I'm presenting and I'm teaching, but when I'm in a consultation, I do my best to get them to talk as much as possible. Okay. And we have to remember that. And it's really hard on Zoom. If any of you have had a consultation on Zoom, it is much easier in person. So, you know, as much as we can have pretty things and whatever, but getting you guys to talk is the hardest thing for me, right? And so in a buyer's consultation too, people have a tendency just to sit back and listen. Get my point? Everybody get my point? Okay. So this needs analysis, and when you're having them go over their home wish list or whatever Keller Williams is going to call it right now, this is your opportunity to really dig deep on what's important to people and who they are. Okay. Like I said, consultations are about building a relationship, right? If you're on a date and you don't talk at all, are you building a relationship with that person? Are you going to go on a second date with them? No. Okay. And I can't even tell you how love relationships and real estate parallel in so many ways. Okay. Anyway, so you guys get what I'm talking about, right? So next is we kind of have to know our markets. So when I'm teaching my class, you know, in person, I normally have the big MLS map behind me. I always make sure I have one of those maps in my classrooms because I sit there and I start quizzing the room. Okay. So I'm going to ask anyone out there but Max, how many zip codes are in Torrance?
5.
Ah, awesome. So of those zip codes, do all of them go to Torrance schools?
No.
Oh, really? Why would that be?
Because the community is not laid out according to district by the community.
Okay, so Marius, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes.
Okay, Marius is making a great point. People don't necessarily know the neighborhoods like we should. If I'm the expert in Torrance, I'm going to be able to tell you the lowest. Who was that? Somebody adding? Esther, did you have something to say? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know who that was. So if Marius is the expert in Torrance and I want to buy a house in Torrance, I need to know if I'm west of Western versus east of Western, you have a different school district, right? If you live in the Hollywood Riviera, okay, anybody know what the Hollywood Riviera is in South Bay? Okay, so what school district is in the Hollywood Riviera, Cecilia?
You know what? Depending upon where exactly you're located, but I end up in Redondo. I forget I don't have any children, so I know that they're broken up into different campuses, but I know that if they're in Hollywood Riviera, they go to, is it Redondo? I know it's a Redondo school system. I just don't know exactly which one.
It is not the Redondo School District. And I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just making a point.
No, it's fine.
If we are the local experts in real estate, we need to understand school districts. A lot of people, even if they're single buying a home, they're going to want to know the strengths. And so I'm hitting upon this because if we're selling real estate, like I have to go learn the entire Vail Valley, right? I need to know schools. I need to know borders. I need to know, I mean, all this stuff. And it's kind of enlightening to learn all this again because like Hollywood Riviera is a perfect example. Cecilia was spot on. Half of that is when you look up on the MLS area 128, and you can do that while I'm talking to you, you go to 128, it says Redondo, and then part of it says Torrance. Well, guess what? All of Hollywood Riviera is on the I guess southeast side of PV Boulevard are Torrance schools. And you have to know that because you may have a Redondo address and people think they're going to go to Redondo schools and they're transferring across town and their kids goes to Redondo Union. You move into a Torrance school district, even though your address is Redondo, you are rightfully in the wrong school district. So I'm getting to those points because you need to be that neighborhood expert. And if you're not that neighborhood expert, you need to go be that. And so I have now 18 years later, I know the South Bay like the back of my hand. I've owned property in Gardena, Lawndale, Hawthorne, Manhattan, Redondo, Torrance. I know all the ins and outs because I've owned property and I've lived there for 30 years. I'm moving to a whole new area in Vail Valley. I know nothing but my little area of Eagle Ranch and Eagle, Colorado, and Gypsum, which is a neighboring town, but there's a whole new world for me to learn. So I always, in this class, and try to encourage you guys, you know, the South Bay is massive, right? It is absolutely massive. So you have to bite those chunks off little at a time, just like the contract. Because when you're in this consultation with your buyer, they're going to ask you, so what, you know, Max, what can I get in PV for 900,000?
I don't know.
Is my audio okay?
Yeah, I just didn't know how to answer that question.
Okay, so that's what's going to happen in your consultation. Okay, I'm getting a little feedback, so I apologize. I just want to make sure you guys hear me clearly.
Maureen.
My point being is if you're going to be selling in Torrance or this consultation, you know, when you guys are giving, you know, this is when I go abbreviated. Somebody says in a consultation, oh, you know, I really like Ladera Ranch and I'm thinking on, you know, PV in Ladera Ranch. Because if I move to Orange County, I want to, you know, move to Ladera Ranch. But other than that, I'm open to everything in the South Bay. That's something I just heard from a client like 2 months ago. I'm like, okay, Ladera Ranch. I don't know anything about Ladera Ranch. I'm like, great, you know, so I will spend less time on that in my consultation, spend more time on the South Bay. And then I said, you know, I'll get back to you in regards to Ladera Ranch and blah, blah, blah. And then I go research the heck out of Ladera Ranch, right? Because I don't know Ladera Ranch, right? So that's what we have to be ready for in these consultations, because, you know, supposedly you're going to be talking to people that are in the South Bay or in your markets that you're working. You know, I don't know the markets you all work, but people are obsessed, you know, far more than when I started 18 years ago. I had all the information. I had the MLS. Nobody had anything besides these apps and all of this access. With Zillow, it just started a chain effect of all these other apps and everything else. So now everybody has alerts on their phones, right? They're looking at property during work and all of these different things, and they may know the market better than you do. So you have to give them a reason to work with you, right? There's plenty of clients I've worked with that they knew their personal market better than I did. So I basically had to make sure in that consultation, they knew I was the expert, and finding the home was just a small part of my job. The biggest part of my job was protecting them. Okay. So that, yes.
So what do you use to understand a market the best? Do you just use the MLS? I've been just, you know, going on MLS, looking at different properties prices, then plus info sparks on there, kind of just for a general view of an area. Are there any other applications that you'd recommend?
Absolutely. And that's why I love having the MLS map. I would go to the board or order them online or whatever. There's this thing called an MLS map. It really is helpful when you're getting to know a market because it breaks down the different sub areas of a town. So just like, you know, Marius and I were talking about Torrance, and he knew there's 5 zip codes, 90505, 4321, right? 5 zip codes, 2 different school districts. LA Unified and Torrance Unified, right? So those things are really, really crucial. And so the best source of information is at MLS, because not only just look at the property, read everything about it. So, and I always tell everybody, start with, you know, get the MLS map so you can see. In the MLS, I think there's probably 20 different sub areas of Torrance, right? I mean, you know, Mary and I talked about 5 zip codes, but there's probably 20 different sub areas. So of North Torrance, for instance, you have 90504, but you have area 133, area 132, and they're very different. Like in North Torrance, you have 3, and this is when I talk to clients. I say you have 3 major hurdles in North Torrance that you have to deal with. You either have a refinery, you have power lines, or you have the 405 freeway, because all of those surround North Torrance, right? So people will understand that there's a different valuation of property. They're like, why is this house 700,000, but a house in North Torrance also can be $1 million? Well, I said, well, okay, that's in the area of the dog patch. That was the low income neighborhood. They were, when they built that whole area in the 1950s, that was the low income area. And those homes are on slabs. Those homes are on power lines. Those homes are right by the freeway, or those homes are right behind the refinery. So that's the level of detail that you need to become the expert on. Okay. And, I'm realizing really fast here in Colorado that there are people that know everything, and then there's people that know nothing, and they just show the house in their Vanna White. Who would I rather work with, right? The obsessive compulsive, detailed oriented person that I am, I want somebody that knows things like I do, or I investigate, like the back of my hand. I was sharing that experience I had with a realtor here when I bought my primary residence. But I'm also in the market for, investment property out here, and I'm moving a lot of my assets from California to Colorado. And I am dumbfounded at the difference in agents out here, right? I put in an offer on a property, got 0 disclosure from listing side and buyer side and seller, no disclosure. So it was up to me to find out that there was a brutal passing, in the home, right? They don't have to disclose in Colorado that someone died in a property. I had a train tracks that were supposedly dormant for the last 23 years. I found out this past week that Union Pacific has bought this railroad, and it's going to be a passenger active railroad again after dormancy of 23 years. And it's right next to my property. Nobody disclosed that to me. I had to go find that out. And so when I'm sharing this experience with you guys, I want you to be those realtors that, you're going to protect your client. You're going to go find out everything about that. So back to your question, Max, I start with one sub area, and I go see everything that's been sold in that sub area for the last year. And I get out of my seat here and I go drive those homes. So I can read, I can see, I can look at the value, I can see what impacts, especially markets like North Torrance. And you guys, I know previewing property is 100 times harder than it used to be because of COVID and all the special things. People don't want you to preview anymore. They just want you to bring your clients. You can still learn an incredible amount if you drive by that property and read those listings from front, bottom to top. Also, your listing agents are an incredible resource. Has anybody come across a listing agent that had a huge ego? Like huge ego? Okay. They love sharing how much they know, right? They love saying, I'm the expert, I know everything. And so utilize that. I do that all the time. Even now, even though I know a lot, I will say, hey, tell me something about this property that the MLS is not telling me. Tell me about the area. Tell me about the schools. Can you confirm with me what elementary school, blah, blah, blah. And even if you have or don't have a buyer for that particular home, trust me, those listing agents love sharing how much they know. So they have been a huge resource for me learning markets. And trust me, I'm doing the same thing as you guys are every day right now in this market.
Maureen?
Yes.
Okay, can I ask you a question? So when you are researching, to get the information, what are the top, what would you say are the top 5 things that you would study up on, such as the school districts, the zip codes, the neighborhood, like what exactly should we be looking for?
Yeah, and absolutely, in the valuations and the history of what's gone on. So I've seen so many properties in my life, right? I had a preview. I've been doing brokers opens for a long time. So you guys don't have that advantage as I do. But if I was starting new, like I said, I'm you right now here in Colorado. So I drive by I go and I drive by all these homes and I study. Like, why did this house get less or more? Or why was this so popular? And this will help you guys too on the listing side. If you ever have a listing contract or a listing appointment, you will be the expert, and just, get that MLS map and just focus. So Cecilia, what market do you specialize in? So I can do something more.
So I actually am a new agent and I'm in the South Bay. I actually live blocks away from Riviera Village. I'm right on the Esplanade. And so
Where are your clients? Where are you focused on your clients?
So that's what I'm saying. So it'll be, like I said, South Bay. So Redondo Beach, South Redondo Beach.
Okay. So what I would do is, okay, so this, and South Redondo and South Torrance kind of overlap.
Right.
So in Redondo Beach, for instance, off the top of my head, I know there's 7 sub areas of Redondo Beach, right?
Right.
151 through 154 is North Redondo, and 155 through 157 is South Redondo. I would study and just drive one section at a time. Do 157, look at all the homes. In the MLS, it's really easy. You guys can go see, maybe there's 20 homes that sold in the last 6 months in the Hollywood Riviera. Okay, this is just an example. Let's go Seaside Ranchos. Let's get out of the Riviera. Let's go Seaside Ranchos. The schools, all of that. And then you're going to go drive everything that has been sold in the past year. You're going to look at an analysis. Obviously, you have everything from lot value to multi-million-dollar homes, right? So I always say, if we were in that classroom right now, I'd say, okay, what's the lowest priced property in Seaside Ranchos? Does anybody know? And it's going to be crickets, right? What is the highest price value in the Seaside Ranchos? 3 million. I don't know. I haven't looked at Seaside Ranchos in a while, but I do this. If that's going to be your area of expertise, you need to know the low, you need to know the high, you need to know what the rental rates are, you need to know what the increase is during that year or that span. And COVID, trust me, has been a bizarre market. We all thought there were six or 7 weeks in the market back in March and April. I had 5 cancellations. And the whole market stopped and watched. What is going to happen here? Is the market going to dump? Who knew this market was going to do that, right?
Right.
We've never had a pandemic before in the South Bay. Who knew? But we realized how important the home became, right? And people that were busting out of apartments because they had 2 kids on Zoom and they had, mom and dad working from home, right? That created that, and interest rates at 2%.
Right.
That created this demand. But you have to go look at your statistics of your market and say, yeah, we normally have 30 homes on the market in this market, and we've had 15, right? So the market is very tight. So you get what I'm saying. If you definitely have to break it down. It's so hard to say, oh, I'm going to learn the whole South Bay. It is tragically difficult. Redondo Beach, I think, is one of the hardest markets to learn. And I throw it out there because what do you have in Redondo Beach? You have single family, you have duplexes, you have triplexes, you have fourplexes.
Everything. Yeah.
You have 16 unit condo townhomes, right? You have every mishmash market in North Redondo. It's one of the hardest markets to really understand because there's so many different kinds of products. Manhattan Beach, piece of cake, right? You have townhomes by the beach, and it's primarily a single family home market.
Right.
So in Redondo Beach, you have 142 to 147. 147 is all single family, for the most part, right? Liberty Village or Manhattan Village, it's a private gated community. There's 450 homes there. Big deal. That's easy to learn. So my point is, you got to get to the point where, just start with the markets you learn and where your clients are first, and then expand over time as you have time. It's an investment of time and energy and effort, but trust me, I have things that I did my first year have paid off even today. People throw out Ladera Ranch. I know I threw that out there because I have a client there right now. But for some reason, I had a client 15 years ago that wanted Ladera Ranch. So what did I do? I ran to Ladera Ranch. I looked at all the different products. Okay, there's condos, there's townhomes, there's single family, there's private gated communities, there's custom home communities. And I learned all that in a day so I could talk intelligently about that market, the next call or the next visit or whatever it was. So what I find very interesting is that most agents are incredibly lazy when it comes to this, but they don't realize the benefit of getting in their car. Like in Colorado, I have a friend that says, hey, I'm coming to Colorado. We're going skiing in Beaver Creek. My friend who is coming with me is actually interested in buying a condo in the Vail Valley. Can you help them? Right. And trust me, I don't know shit about, I don't know anything about where they're staying. You know, I know a little bit about Beaver Creek, but their specific area they want is Bachelor's Gulch Village. So I'm going to share with you my screen, you know, and look what I look at every day. You guys see what I look at every day?
Mm-hmm.
What is this? This is the Vail Valley.
The map of the area.
And so this area right here is where he wants to buy. So what have I done? I've just studied and driven. I'm actually tomorrow going to go drive by all the homes in Bachelor Gulch. I'm not licensed in Colorado yet, so I'm pairing up with an agent at the KW Mountain Properties. And I'm going to, you know, I'm joining her team. I'm getting licensed, but, you know, here we're going to pair up, right? And that's another strategy too. If you have a client that, oh my gosh, you know, PV, you don't know anybody, but you know, your best friend wants to work with you in PV. It's like, great, I'm going to work, you know, with Maureen on PV. She knows PV by the back of her hand. We're going to work together with you to make sure you get, you know, all your needs are satisfied. So I really am spending too much time on this neighborhood insight, but I think it's really, really crucial. You guys are the experts, right? So you need to do your homework. You need to know the market better than your clients do. And,
no, I think that's extremely important.
and a lot of times
especially-
people are learning the market with their clients, and you're going to find out that your clients know more about the market because they're obsessed, right? They're getting their phone alerts every, like, oh, a new house came up in Seaside Ranch or whatever. So I'm not going to harp on this anymore, but get your MLS map. Get an MLS map. That'll really, really help. And normally I have a sample of that, but it's in my office in California.
Is that just a printout of the map that's on the MLS when you're doing searches?
Yeah, but it's like a visual type of thing. So you can see like all the borders and all of that kind of stuff. When you just go in by like 131 West Torrance, 132 North Torrance, right, you don't quite get the feel. When you look at the full map, or maybe just take sections of it, it really helps you kind of grasp where the borders are. Because when I have a consultation in person, when we start talking about neighborhoods, I pull out that map because, you know, it's important to know your lows and highs. So I wrote down, what was your, okay, 900,000. So if I said to you, Max, okay, what does 900,000 buy me in X market? You got to know that, right? 900,000 in Palos Verdes doesn't buy you anything. Not one, not even you know, the entry level home in PV is about $1 million. Unless you're on the backside in 177 that backs up to San Pedro, occasionally you'll see one pop out, but normally there's a reason for it. So you have to have that level of expertise. And I always say when I'm teaching, just, you know, get that map. And if you don't have that map, just study like one sub area at a time. You know, if you throw us something else, you guys throw it at me, throw me a market and I'll tell you where it is.
Throw you a market as far as what you're just talking about an area?
Yeah, quiz me.
What about San Pedro?
Okay, San Pedro, there's a great diversity. Again, there's probably like 10 different areas of San Pedro. So when we're looking at San Pedro, we have to look at, you know, the whole sector. You have $1 million homes that are on the south side that have ocean views that can be multi-million-dollar homes on the bluffs. And then you have, you know, the little homes that's by, you know, down by the port, by the freeways there where the 110 and the bridges start, that you can find homes in the low threes, or the high threes to low fours for a little home. San Pedro is one of the older cities in the South Bay, and it has high diversity. It is LA unified, so, you know, schools do matter. There's some that are strong, there's some that are extremely weak. And so you guys get my drift, right? I'm sitting here telling you and spitting out. I've shown many properties in San Pedro. There's tons of communities. There's a lot of multi-unit income properties in San Pedro in certain areas. It just depends. You know, I can't steer. I can't say, hey, you want to be in South Shores, you want to be in whatever. You know, I have to be very specific. I can't steer, but I'm just saying, you know, there's so much diversity in places like San Pedro and Long Beach. I definitely recommend you, you know, driving those areas, because what I'm comfortable with may not be what you're comfortable with, right?
Okay.
If your client is growing up in Manhattan Beach and they're like, oh, my daughter wants to buy a house, where can she afford in San Pedro? You're never going to sell there, right? Because the extremes are completely overwhelming, right? So, but you guys get what I'm talking about, right? Knowing the diversity and be able to give value. So you become that expert. And what are you really ultimately doing? You're gaining their trust and they know that you know your materials. Okay. I'm going to move on, but you guys get my drift. Everybody understand where I'm going? I am not going to show property in Eagle, Colorado until I know this market like the back of my hand. I can't, consciously put into a contract when I don't know my job. Okay. And we get paid very, very well, right? We get paid very, very well. If I'm going to represent a client in a market I don't know, I am going to pair up with the expert in that market. Because you never know. Like this text came to me like last week. Hey, can you show my friend property or can you help them? I said, we can absolutely help them. My partner and I, will do whatever you need. Let me know when a good time to do a Zoom call is. So what am I going to do? I'm going to pull in a KW agent. I know that's the expert and grew up in Vail and she knows every market here. The advantage I have here learning Vail is there are more homes where I lived in the Hollywood Riviera in 1 square mile than there is in this entire valley. So I think I can do it. And if I can do it, you guys can do it. Okay. All right. Next, I think I have 20 minutes to finish this class. So I'm going to zoom a little faster. Again, here we have this beautiful consultation all ready for you. And you guys can learn, you should know this. I would love you guys just to read through this whole consultation at least 5 times. Okay, if you're going to give a consultation 5 times, and then you're going to call one of your buddies here on here, and you're going to do the presentation with 5 different people. Okay, if you are practicing with your clients, it's not a good thing, right? Who should you be practicing with when you're doing a consultation? Husband. My buyer's agent, Dana Ben Yehuda, she's awesome. She would practice her buyer's consultation with her kids. It was awesome. And her kids are like so funny because now they're like, mom, you can have excuses or results. You can't have both, right? Our kids repeat the stuff we repeat to them. So just promise me, raise your right hand again, everybody. I will not practice on my clients.
I will not practice on my clients.
In unison, I want to hear you.
I will not practice on my
clients.
Thank you. Please, you can practice on me, and whatever. Okay, so next, affiliated business arrangements. Again, you kind of, we have one in Keller Williams. My consultation practice, digitally and in person has copies of disclosures, it has a copy of the contract and, a copy of our affiliates. We're affiliated with Escrow South Bay, we're affiliated with Lend US, and what is Fernando? I forget what his broker's called right now. But anyway, anytime you're going to refer somebody, you need to make sure they understand that we're affiliated with some of these companies that refer. Okay, real value, real experience. Again, when you guys are first starting off and you don't have a lot of experience, you have a lot of experience in life that you are taking to real estate. So let's see, who am I going to pick on next here? Yolanda, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, thank you. So tell me what you did before you became a realtor.
I was a Dean of Student Services, which is higher education. So my field has been working with students, college level students, faculty and staff.
Beautiful example. So you are going to be the same. You are taking all that skill and you are applying it to real estate. So you have been teaching and consulting people for most of your life and career, correct?
Correct.
That's exactly what we're doing in real estate. So when people ask you, how much experience do you have? You can say, I have been training and teaching and giving people a value, for 20 years or whatever the case is. Okay, so you guys don't think that, oh, I'm only 1 year in real estate. I'm 6 months in real estate. I've been investing in real estate since I bought my first home when I was 24 years old. Okay, so I've been a real estate buyer and investor for, I'm going to tell you how old I am, for 30 years. So I'm working my ass off to get you guys to talk and laugh and whatever. I'm much better in person. People ask me if I'm a comedian, but truly, I have been investing in real estate and buying real estate for 30 years. So I know something about that, and I'm going to teach you. So you guys just need to go in and refine your skills and your expertise in your certain areas, like your, your local, markets that you want to work. But ultimately, just because you're new in real estate does not mean you don't bring a tremendous amount of talent and expertise and education in the other areas you have worked. You're just going to apply those things to real estate. So get out of your brains that you're new, okay? Maybe you're, who can't be Vanna White? Here's a house. And, and there's another class about showing and all of that I usually teach too. I used to teach the entire buyer segment, and it was very fun. So you guys could kind of understand what I do from start to finish. But the bottom line is, you can take all of those skills that you did in your past, careers, and you can apply that. When someone says, how long have you been, selling real estate? Your response there, Yolanda, would be, I've been training and teaching others for about 30 years. And what I'm doing here, is no different. So, I mean, you can take, not many people, I can probably count on one hand in the last 18 years, how many people have asked me how long I've been doing this. You guys, I've been doing this forever. If you could see me better and see the bags and lines under my eyes. But seriously, 5 times in 18 years, has anyone ever asked me how long I've been doing this? Right? So going back to that, I'm not just confess people right up front that I have brand new at real estate. Okay. So buyer consultation, going back to this class, because I have like 18 minutes now. As we go through this, we are going to continue to talk about, practicing. Okay. Sure, if you're going to be taking your brother out, or my niece, okay, here's a great example. My niece called me up. She lives in San Diego, and she's like, Aunt Mo, that's what she calls me. I need to buy a house, and can you help me? And I said, I absolutely can, but I am going to confess to you, I don't know the San Diego market like I know, the LA market, but I know real estate very well, and I'm going to help you with that aspect. But you know what? I made so many mistakes in the beginning by not having a consultation with people I knew well. I just figured we just get in the car and start looking at property. And I can't tell you how many weekends I wasted on people and whatever, because I thought they were committed to me because they were friends or whatever. And I got burned, right? Or they didn't really understand the process from start to finish. So with my niece, when she called me, I don't know, this is 5 years ago, I said, okay, leave the kids with my sister. We're going to go to a restaurant, and I'm going to sit here and give you my consultation, because I want you to be as educated as any of my clients. And we sat there and we chatted for 3 hours, because she's my niece, and we had a couple beers and then lunch. But I don't ever skip the consultation aspect. Like I said, my sweetest niece, who would never in a million years, go work with somebody else after I started working with her. But, I have educated her and many others, and I've created many millionaires by my education, my expertise, and my protection. And that's how I want you guys to go out. Just remember, pretend like every client is someone that your mama bear or papa bear that's going to protect them. And if you always go with that mentality, you're going to protect them and put their interests first, and do everything you can to help them, achieve their real estate goals and dreams. They're always going to be loyal to you. I have a client out there. I did this tracking one time of all my clients and where they come from. I have probably closed 17 deals from one client. One client. That's a lot. 17 deals with an average purchase price in the South Bay of $700,000. Anybody want to do that math with me? I'm only doing this because if I didn't, give them the most, thorough experience, I wouldn't have these statistics. So let's just calculate that together because I love math. 700,000 times 17 times 2.5. Anybody want to take a stab at what that number is? It's almost $300,000 in commissions have been referred to me from one client, right? Not a bad living, from one person. And I've had hundreds of clients. So I always say this, and I don't know if anybody's been in any of my classes before or in a meeting with me. I always say when I'm interviewed, and I've been on many Keller Williams international panels and things like that. When I'm interviewed, people ask me, what is the key to my success? And I said, you know what? So many people talk about 3 hours of lead gen and all of that. And that is awesome. And I definitely recommend that. I try to give each of my clients the best real estate buying and selling experience than they've ever had. And if I work on the clients right in front of me and giving them the best experience, I won't ever have to worry about where that next client's coming from, because I have had so many people refer me because their experience was so good. And if you really work on that with your clients one at a time, you will have a big business. And so many people just grind and, I had to decline yesterday a client that was listing and selling through me from last year. And because of COVID, she wound up canceling. And I've already spent 100 hours with this person, showing her property, listing her home, and doing all the things I did to list her home. And because she wanted to save, there's so many things that happen, but she came back to me and she asked me to represent her on the purchase side, and I declined. I'm in a position now that I will decline clients that are not loyal, faithful, or for whatever reason, or that I can meet their expectations before because there's lots of clients that want to work with me, but I'm at the point in my life where I declined her, wanting me to represent her as a buyer, because she I can't meet her expectation. And that's okay too, you guys. Don't be a slave to your business. Don't be a slave to clients you can't meet their unrealistic expectations. Now, there's a bigger story behind that, but I'm finally to the point where I value my time. I value my life. I had stage 4 cancer last year, and had I not been diagnosed before COVID, I'd probably be dead today. And I share this story to you because I think of, and I'm going to get emotional here. I think of all of the time. I have a 24 and a 25-year-old son, and I became a realtor when I became a single mother. And I think of all the time that I spent with clients that wasted my time versus being with my sons. And I will never get that time back. I will never, have enough time with my kids because now they're on their own, right? And I think of when I teach this class, and I teach classes at all, I want you guys to think about that. Say you were diagnosed with whatever tomorrow. Who are you going to spend your time with, right? People that value you and people you value, or with people that just want you to be Vanna White and go look at property. So if there's never been, we can go through the rest of this consultation, but my life and my experience in the last 20 years, there's a great deal of people that just want to use you for information, want to take your time up and waste your time because they don't care about the value of your time. They only care about themselves. 99% of people on this planet only care about themselves, right? They are not caring about me. And I showed this woman property during chemotherapy, through radiation, and after I had one of my 2 major surgeries. And I spent more time with this woman than I would care to, only for her to think of her last little dime. And she took an agent who wanted to list her home for 1% after my 100 hours with her last year. And it's like, if cancer has taught me anything, it's taught me to value my time more than anything. And I am teaching this class because I want you guys to take that consideration before you start working with a client. And if they don't have time for their consultation and for you to go over the important aspects of this purchase, then they're not being loyal to you, right? Who goes out and buys a car on the first day, right? Not many people, anymore. Well, I guess with vending, maybe they do it more now. But the bottom line is a house, and this investment is the biggest investment they make, right? So if they don't have time, an hour of their time to go through your presentation, to go through the contract, to value your expertise, then they're truly not going to be someone you're going to close, right? We don't get paid until we close, right? Any ahas?
Yes. Thank you so much. But the biggest aha for me is, even because I try to think of what I can do in this COVID climate from where I'm at, and just getting a better understanding of the area, just to be more knowledgeable, like you said, and I put in the chat, I've used Home Snap. So I run in the area that I live in, and I'll take pictures. You can take a picture of the house, and it'll give you all of the comprehensive information about what it sold for, how many times it sold. And so, but just even when you asked me about the school district, the aha moment was, I should know more about the school district in the area, number one, in which I live, and number two, that I'm going to try to do business in. So thank you. I appreciate that. And again, so thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your feedback. And, I love the sharing concept of KW. Yes, thank you, Max, and thank you, Cecilia. What's your Cecilia?
It's Cecily.
Cecily. Okay,
Cecily.
sorry.
Right.
Anyway, because I can't see everything because my glasses is not good. But that is so true. If you want to be the expert, you need to go to that next mile. Like I can't stand it when I'm sitting here, interviewing buyer's agents about their client, and they don't know anything about their clients, because I handle the listings of the team, and it's like, I really want people that know about their client and what their client's needs are, because the last thing I want to do is get into bed or get into escrow with someone who doesn't know their client, and those people are going to be the ones that fall out of escrow, right? So all of these things and all of these consultations and all the work that you're doing, if you plan on being in this business longer than a minute or a year or whatever, those are very relevant. So thank you for sharing. Okay, real quick before I get in trouble from KW, I just caught up with your comments, you guys. I'm sorry, I have so many screens going. But yeah, make sure I wanted to make, yes, Home Snap, great app. There's so many great apps and tools right now that you guys can take advantage of, and I hope you do. And again, people like Sonia are an awesome resource. Who's in the coaching program with Sonia? Are all of you required?
Yes. Yes.
She is amazing. That girl is amazing. I might, I've been offered a position to be a real estate coach because, knowing areas and all that is one thing. But, I know real estate very well. And, I've been given a job offer here in Colorado to be a real estate coach. And I love teaching and I love sharing. And I've asked her, I think I've been in the business, I think I'm twice as old as her. I don't know how she's so young cooking. But I've been in the business twice as long as most people, but I'm sitting here getting coached with Sonia. That should tell you something. That is an invaluable resource you guys have. And she is the best real estate coach for new agents that I've seen at Edney Keller Williams for 18 years. And I'm not saying this, she's not on this call. She doesn't know I said that, but she's amazing. So take advantage of these tools and resources that you have. Share your KW app. There's all kinds of things you guys can do. Command, it's so easy. I have a listing on the west side through one of my agents, and it's a $3.8 million listing. It's a nice listing, but you know, that's just a drop of the bucket in the Vail Valley, because a condo by a ski resort is like $2 million. It's ridiculous. And so what I did a simple ad for my listing on the west side to Vail. Like I literally advertised it in Vail because there's so many wealthy people up there. I got 10 people that clicked on my ad in Vail for a listing in Southern California. Okay. All through Command. It took me 5 minutes to set up. So if you called me and said, hey, Maureen, can I advertise whatever? I'd say, sure, go use Command. You can spend 3 cents a click or whatever. Ask any agent in the office that has a listing that they're trying to sell. Just say, hey, you need to get their permission. Okay. Get their commission get permission, and then go, advertise their listing in your market or another market. There's all kinds of creative things you can do to pick up some buyers. Okay. And so when they do click on your ad, they register and they get all the information on your landing page of the listing. So you guys have a lot of cool options, where before I would have to go send out a business card or spend money on Zillow or whatever the case may be, right? Okay, so collections and saved homes. Okay, so we all know when we're, building our buyer consultation, you're going to do that needs analysis, and they're going to tell you what you want, and you're going to create, a portal for your client, right? An MLS portal or a portal on your website with KW, whatever the case may be. But create a portal, get them off the Zillow and the Redfins and all of that, and say, hey, I have access to all the information that's on the MLS, even more, because some people can limit the visibility of a listing. I want to give you 100% exposure to the market